Hello and welcome to the Moody Sports Podcast, where I, Zach,
Me, Cody.
will be talking to y'all today about some sports around the area. Mostly we'll be handling business referring to the Cougar basketball, which is starting up. They just had their first game against Southern Dallas University, I believe, and crushed them.
Dallas Baptist? I think it was Dallas Baptist.
It's one of those small Dallas schools. Nobody cares. It's Dallas.
Yeah.
We'll be getting to that later on the show, so stick around for that. But before we get there, we're going to be talking about the U of H game versus SMU and their loss. We'll be talking about the Texans and their win against the Broncos, going 6-3. And then we'll also be discussing the Rockets just a little bit and how they've finally gotten in an upswing since, who would have guessed it, we're playing better now that our superstar's back. Wow. All right, let's get started with the football game. Cody, you drove down there, correct?
No, I didn't.
You didn't end up going?
No, I had car problems, so I couldn't go.
Well, it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
That was God intervening, because, man, that would have been a disappointing drive.
Oh, yeah, especially the one back.
Yeah. Like we predicted, a team we should have beat
We lost to.
was probably going to beat us, or had the best chance of beating us. And not only did they beat us down. Final score being
45-31.
45-31, but it was not that close. U of H had a quick spurt where they went for 14 points in the first half, beginning of the second quarter, but those points were undeserved. You take those away, it was a slaughtering. SMU dominated the game on both sides of the ball, and it was just embarrassing to watch. One thing a lot of fans saw was that we went run heavy. We went away from what has gotten us 40-plus points a game. And I talked to you about this earlier, but in an interview, Joseph Duarte, the Houston Cougar beat writer for the Houston Chronicle, was interviewing Applewhite, the head coach, and he said, was King hurt? Is that why we didn't pass the ball as much? And Applewhite, I'm paraphrasing here, but Applewhite essentially said, well, he wasn't hurt, but our scouting showed that we should be run heavy, so we just went run heavy the whole game. My mind is hurting. I don't understand. I'm trying to wrap my brain around those words. They don't make much sense. This is what should have worked. It didn't work, but we kept doing it anyways. Does that seem weird to you?
That doesn't make sense, in my opinion.
Yeah?
Yeah. Every game we've scored over 40 points. Hell, over 42 points until this game. And we've relied heavily on, the run game, the RPO, but we mixed in a bunch of deep passes here and there. I didn't see any of that in the last game.
And when we did, we got touchdowns.
Yeah.
The first deep bomb of the game was a 50-yarder touchdown.
I don't understand why we didn't go more like passing, like every other game we've done.
It doesn't make sense. The only thing I can get, I posted this on my Twitter as a joke, was that Bryles had put money on SMU, because I guess the odds were so much in our favor that he could just make a quick buck if he was willing to tank the team, man. It was embarrassing to watch, you know?
I honestly agree. They, like you said earlier, they just dominated us from the start. We gave up 31 points at halftime, and most teams, if you give up 31 points, you're not going to win, no matter how hard you try.
SMU was 3-5?
Yes, 3-5.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. And
embarrassing. But UH never shows up to play SMU. Especially
that
at
is true.
SMU.
And because of the loss, there's a high chance that we might not make the championship.
I think we're still
if
in
we
the driver's
lose
seat.
2 more times, which is possible with
2
Memphis.
out of 3, right?
Yeah, if it's possible with Memphis and Temple,
which is this week at home.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's at home. And Ed's back. That was also a big thing. Ed was supposed to play in the SMU game, but player decision decided to sit out right before the game, which, hey, I know that guy's got a long career. I'm not going to be mad at him for doing that. But that definitely hurt the defense, especially because SMU decided they could do anything they wanted with the football.
Oh, they could have sat down for 20 seconds and then ran the ball straight up the field and still scored a touchdown.
Yeah, man. D'Onofrio was at peak D'Onofrio. It's like he's learned nothing. It's like he's gotten so bad now our offense has been infected.
Yeah.
It felt like Applewhite was trying to out D'Onofrio. It's like, who could be worse? And, man, he made it close.
I'd have to say Applewhite out D'Onofrio.
He did, man. He really, for Halloween, he decided to be D'Onofrio. That's what it seemed like. And he just tanked everything. I mean, that quote of, this is what the game plan said. So we just did what the game plan said. You're a coach. You're supposed to be able to make game time decisions. And when you see the run isn't working, the decision at halftime is, let's not run the ball like that anymore.
I mean, sure, they'll give you running looks. They have only 5 or 6 in the box, and you have 6 or 7 blockers. But for time and time again, 1 yard, 2 yards, maybe 3 yards a rush. That's not okay.
3rd and 14.
On
Let's
a
run
team,
a dive.
On a team that strives on getting momentum fast, and getting momentum fast isn't short, quick runs up the middle. It's deep plays down the field, 50-yard, 60-yard bombs. So this game in general was just so frustrating to watch.
It was incredibly frustrating to watch. Because we want to talk more about the Cougar basketball team later on, I say we move this quickly. And as a side effect, I don't have to revel in this disaster for too long. Let's talk about the Temple game a little bit.
Temple game. All right.
I'm worried.
I am too.
Because the Cougs aren't like most teams where they lose and they bounce back strong. The Cougs have to lose 2 before they bounce back strong. And now Ed's back, so that'll be a good boost for us. But also that Temple, after a slow start, has been on fire ever since. They lost to UCF. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago, maybe.
I think it was last week.
But it was close. They took UCF down to the wire. Took some magic from their quarterback, UCF's quarterback, to pull out that win. Some Orlando magic. There's your pun of the week. But I'm thinking this one is a 50-50. I think the only reason it's a 50-50 is it's because it's at our place. If it was at Temple, I think that's a guaranteed Temple win. But because it's here and Ed's back, I'm giving it 50. I think now that we're beneath, we scored less than 40. The streak's over. The streak's dead. But I think we score like 35 in this game. Temple, yeah. I don't know. Temple, north or south of 35. You be the judge. What do you have predictions for?
How badly the defense played last game. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of adjustments. Hopefully,
king of adjustments.
Hopefully, there's some adjustments on the defensive side. Be like, hey, this is what we did bad this game. Let's try not to do that.
Let's not sit 12 yards off our receivers.
That's kind of well, that's D'Onofrio's defense. He's not going to stop doing that.
Oh no, dude, he's dead set in his ways.
If you remember the Texas Tech game, that's all he did, and they scored
like PTSD.
60 points.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Anyways, I'm not sure exactly how well Temple's been playing. I haven't kept up with them too much. But if they play anything like they did against UCF and we play anything like we did against SMU, it's going to be over by halftime. Yeah. That's my prediction.
Yeah, you're right. We have to come out with some sort of fire because we know Temple will. I mean, they see beating us as a shot of getting back into the into the conversation of a conference championship. It's just, yeah, I mean, if you look at Temple's record, I think it's
5-4.
5-4. It shows a different story than what they actually are, because those losses are against good teams. Except for, UCF is one of them. They started the season out really poorly, but ever since then they've been killing it. I think they started with 2 losses or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And since then they've only lost 2, and they've won 5. So they're definitely doing a lot better. And U of H, we lost one early, and then we lost one last week. And it will just be, an attitude thing if we can come out on top and overcome that. Because if we don't, If we decide the best strategy is to go heavy run game again, we'll see a butt kicking on our home field. Almost as bad as the one we saw when the stadium was christened with UTSA. And they beat us like 42 to like 18 or something like that.
Let's not talk about that.
We don't need to talk about that. I'm sorry for bringing it up. Yeah, but ignoring that nightmare that happened last week, let's talk about the Texans game.
Something positive.
Something
for
positive,
Houston.
man. 6-3. Big story that we just barely missed last week. I mean, like, it literally came in as we had finished.
It was like 2
recording
minutes
it.
after we finished uploading the video or something
Cody,
like
this
that.
is your field. I'll let you take over. I think you take credit for this one.
Demaryius Thomas was acquired from the Denver Broncos.
Go Texans!
From the Denver Broncos on a trade that involved
4th and a 7th? Or
we gave up a 4th and a 7th for Demaryius Thomas and their 7th of the same draft.
Yeah.
So we swapped 7ths so really we gave up a 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, because Denver isn't as doing as well as the Texans, the 7th.
No, they're bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're bad.
They're not
but
a playoff
good.
team. They're not a playoff team.
I mean, 3-5 or 3-6 is not like god awful. It could be worse. It could be the Giants or the Browns. I mean, the Browns sure have like 2 ties or something.
Yeah.
But still,
Just like the
they're
Browns,
not
though,
doing
they should
like
fire their coach,
too bad.
Vance Joseph.
So,
Ugh.
but it helps. Like in the 7th round, our pick will be higher in the draft.
Yeah, you're right.
But other than that, the Texans, I would say it was pretty even the entire game.
They kept an even keel. They really just they didn't dip. They just kind of kept steady.
Yeah, I mean not just that. The teams in general, they had similar yards. They had similar first downs, so they had similar plays. The big difference though was the time of possession. We had 5 more minutes, so that's a whole nother drive.
Grind it out. I think the biggest thing was in that last drive that Denver had, where it was Denver's game to lose, and they decided to lose it. Vance Joseph really deserves Houston Texans Player of the Week for that beautiful play calling that he made on the Denver sideline. Denver's head coach, if you don't know, is Vance Joseph, and he is bad. Is putting it way more nicely than I should. Like, he's Bill O'Brien, except he doesn't have the talent to cover up his mistakes. Bill O'Brien looks good right now because he's got a good team around him. They're winning despite of him. Denver is losing because they don't have the same level of talent. They don't have the quarterback. I mean, Case Keenum, I love him to death, but he's not the quarterback that Deshaun Watson is.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, sadly. Even though it hurts my heart to say that.
It hurts terribly. But in those last 40 seconds, he decides to okay, let me set the scene. 40 seconds left. He's got a timeout. They're driving on the Texans. They're at the 50-ish. They're inside, you know. They're looking good. They're looking like a touchdown's coming their way or points to win the game. They were down by 2. They run a 5-yard slant. Guy catches it. Boom, 5 yards. Time's ticking. Okay, we can get another play in or we can spike it. No, they decide to huddle up with less than 40 seconds and a timeout. They decide to huddle up and get a play call and call it. Boom, 15 seconds are off the clock. Now you're sitting barely north of 22 seconds. They run a run play. They get tackled in the backfield. What should have been a 40, low 40s, high 30s field goal is now a 51-yard field goal.
I mean, sure, in the NFL, that's not, like, completely out of people's range. That if you're an NFL kicker, you should be able to kick 50-yard field.
It's not out of range for sure, but if I'm a kicker,
I'd much rather have a
lot more
35-yard field goal than a 50-yard field goal.
50-yard field goal, exactly. So the guy misses it. Of course he does, because, I mean, that bad of management, there's no way they're going to get props for it. And the Texans pull out a W, improving to 6-3, baby, after starting 0-3, winning despite me. After my bold predictions that they should tank after going 0-3.
Do you still think they should tank?
I've been proven wrong. There's no need to rub it in my face.
I was reading, I don't remember what article it was from, but I saw a stat, and it was like either 2% or 0.2% of teams that start 0-3 make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. There's only been one other team to do it. I think it was the Giants.
Yeah, I think it was the Giants.
the
They won 7 straight after
Giants.
going 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
They have the record, and the Texans are a game behind them right now.
Yep.
So even though they started 0-3, they're number 1 in the division by 2 games.
Oh, dude, they control the division right now.
Yeah, they're
in the driver's seat.
And what's crazy is Jacksonville looked like the clear favorite, and now they're last in the now they're last in the division.
Every prediction I made has been horribly wrong for the Texans.
It really has. But
everything I've said has been just flat out wrong. Like, not even like there's no justifiable way to spin my words. They've just been wrong. Hey, we told you. We're not professionals.
But anyways, I think the Texans should have lost that game, especially when Fairburn, even though he has been pretty clutch in clutch moments, such 1 or 2 overtime games they've won. He missed that extra point, and my dad and I were thinking, oh, God, this is how they lose. Last-second field goal. And sure enough, came down to it. Last-second field goal. Denver would have won, and he pushed it.
Patron saint, St. Joseph. Pull some espionage for us and gets the win. But, hey, you know what? You take what you can, man.
A W's a W.
Yeah, and I still love the love that Houston Texans players have for Case Keenum.
Yeah.
We saw J.J. Watt gave Case Keenum a big hug in the backfield a few times.
Yeah, a few times.
He improved to 9 sacks. One of them, all of them, coming at the expense of Case Keenum. And, man, when you have that large of a man crushing your entire body,
it doesn't feel good.
R.I.P. in peace, you know? You're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, another dub. But, hey, it's not all bad for Houston native or Houston alumni Case Keenum. He was able to sell a bunch more books when he just released his book, and one of the big quotes coming out of it was when he was with the Texans, Bill O'Brien said, "You'll never amount to nothing more than a third-string quarterback." I don't know if it's true. I just admire Case's business move to the week before he plays the Texans, and Bill O'Brien, he releases that quote. Well, book sales were through the roof that day. Give the guy props. He made money moves. Guy's really looking out for his future.
He did pretty well considering he was 25 for 42 for 290 yards.
Any interceptions? I don't think so.
No interceptions. He had 2 sacks.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the big thing. But so he didn't do awful. I don't think he did like winning caliber quarterback. He didn't play well enough to win, but he didn't play bad enough to completely get smacked on, which was kind of evident on the last second plays.
The one fault I can find in him is that a starting quarterback who is in control of the team, is in control of the offense, even if coach doesn't call 2 plays, they call 2 plays.
Yeah.
There needs to be a second play. So you need to be able to take responsibility and get your team across the line. So, it is what it is. I'm not sad. Texans won. Whoop to whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
6-3 H-Time. But it just stinks that it comes at the expense of our golden boy, Case Keenum.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some more good news. The Rockets finally don't look like a G League team. They actually look like they're playing basketball now.
Which is good news.
It's very good news. I know it's stupid to say we were all worried, but we were what, 1-4, 1-5?
I think we started 0-5 or something like that.
No,
maybe
we
1-4, 0-5, something like that.
We beat the Lakers the second game of the season.
That's right. We beat the Lakers.
Take that, LeBron. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sticking to the man. But Rockets don't look bad anymore. And who knew that it would be when our team was healthy? What? We're good when we're healthy?
No way.
Shocker.
Never would have thought.
Yeah. Panic mode for everybody. But we're back in business. Another big move was that the Rockets got back their defensive juggernaut, which Cody is looking up the details on that real quick. Came out on top, and we got a big hire back. He's really... Hopefully, the idea is that his mindset coming back to the team will improve the defense. We're 21st right now, I believe. And with him last year, we were 7th. Obviously, that's not all him. We did lose some defensive players, but I don't think the drop-off was that serious. I don't think losing those two guys and the guys we picked up was the reason why we dropped off so hard. I think it was just, it didn't come out fiery like they did last year. So he's coming back. James Harden's back. James Ennis is back. Chris Paul is back to full steam. Shout out to Gary Clark, an AAC player. He played for Cincinnati.
Hot take. I'll give you a hot take. I'm calling it right now. He's going to be Rookie of the Year.
I think that's ridiculous. I think that is a very hot take. Burning off your fingertips hot. I'll say this. I think he is going to make rookie all-team. There's 2 teams for rookies?
I think first and second. Yeah, I could be wrong.
I think he makes second team at his position because he is doing great for the Rockets. He's not a great shooter. What does he shoot? You say he's shooting like 31%?
31%.
But all that, of course, he's only played 8 games, so his percentage is, wildly skewed. And that was mostly off of the Pacers game where him, Melo, and was it? I can't remember. There was a third guy. They combined for like 3 of 17 in the first half. So they're.
I think it was Chris Paul.
No,
No?
it was a bench player. Chris Paul didn't score in the first half, but he wasn't a part of that. I don't think. So, yeah, he hasn't looked great offensively, but he's been doing what he's supposed to do on defense, which is cover up Melo. Melo's a good defender in certain scenarios, but Gary Clark helps close in those gaps that he's not a good defender. He's able to switch for guys that Melo usually wouldn't be able to switch for, and so that doesn't create mismatches as much. He's same body size, can cover the same guys. They're not really losing anything when Melo's put on a, Gary Clark's guy. And it really did show with the Pacers because the Pacers are a good team. Pacers are the first good team the Rockets have beat this year. The Lakers might be good eventually, but they're not good now. So having him, Cody's not giving a look of confidence for the Lakers right here.
No.
But beating Victor Oladipo at his place, that's
Feels
big
pretty
doings.
good.
That's big doings.
Feels
Especially
pretty
because
good.
James Harden was clutch as ever. Really putting the clutch in Clutch City for us by getting some great last-second buckets and a key steal, poking the ball out when Victor Oladipo went up for a layup. The way Victor was playing, and Harden, but the way those two guys were playing, everything they shot was going in. So getting rid of those 2 points was a big move by Harden. MVP move, dare I say. So that was really
He is
cool.
reigning MVP.
Yeah.
I will say, though,
Yeah, he is.
I will say at the end of the game, and I have to give Oladipo all the credit, that man is super clutch.
Oh, dude, he's stone cold. He is stone cold. Once he stepped
Ice
out
in his veins,
Yeah.
red hot
Yeah.
in the last 3 minutes, made the last 3 buckets, but
Mhm.
eventually you can't, you miss one. Like, he is human after all.
Yeah. It was that steal that James Harden
Mhm.
had that really
Yeah.
secured it for the Rockets. Because at that point, the Rockets, really, James Harden and Oladipo had been back and forth in the clutch. Rockets get a bucket, Oladipo would match, Rockets, Oladipo would match. But then that steal led to a Rockets bucket on the other side, or some free throws, I believe. And that really that switched the possession back. We had a two-possession lead, I think a 4-point lead after that, and that was huge. So it's good to be back in the driver's seat. I'm not saying we're out of the woods yet, but we look comfortable.
We're heading out. We're driving towards the
There
exit.
you go, yeah. There you go. Getting out of Yosemite as soon as we can.
Exactly.
Anything extra you want to say about the Rockets?
Not really. I mean, we went from looking really bad to looking okay in the span of like 3 games. I'm not saying we're good yet because,
I mean,
you know.
the basketball gods did hand us Brooklyn and the Bulls on back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Those are 2 games that you need to win if you want to be any sort of basketball team.
Yeah. But I think, like you said, we're not out of the woods yet. We still need to polish some things that we need polishing.
No doubt.
Like,
No doubt.
definitely working on defense. Because if you can't play defense in the NBA, you won't win the game. Like, that's it.
Yeah, they need to greatly improve. They need to jump back to like last year. They need to jump back to like that 7th-ish, upper 12. They need to be a above average defense to be competitive.
I mean, they have the offensive talent with like offensive talent like James Harden, Clint Capella even, Chris Paul and
Melo coming off the bench.
Melo exactly. Like, they have the offensive talent there. They just need to find the defensive talent and getting their old defensive coach to, like I would say, improve.
Defensive guru.
Yeah, he was a big factor in the Rockets having their best record ever, of being the number 1 seed. And in my opinion, should it be Golden State in Game 6? But
we don't need to talk about that.
We don't need to talk about that. Yeah, it's in the past.
It's in the past.
I think he's going to help us more than people think.
I agree with you. I think it'll be a big thing bringing that culture back, and that's always important, especially in a locker room where you don't have a lot of players. Culture is really a driving force. The winners and the losers having that different stuff. Looking back on my high school days.
Yeah.
Culture. Determination. Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Other things they write on the weight room wall. Yeah. I'll say this about the Rockets before we move on, before we get to the meat of this podcast.
In Moody,
we're
we
looking
trust.
more like, there's always that, but we're looking more like last year's team. I'm not saying we are last year's team yet. I won't say that till I'll see about saying that until midway through January or the end of December. But we're looking on the right track. We now look like we can compete against anybody. Any week. We look like we have a shot against anybody, no matter what week it is, which is important because that's what the Rockets were for last year. They would beat the Nets by 4 one night, and then they'd go beat the Warriors by 4 one night. It wasn't like they were great against anybody. They just could beat anybody, and that's really important for this team.
I agree.
So, yeah, I'm excited about the future. I always like checking in on their games and seeing who we beat and who had an explosive game, which you need when you're going against the Death Star Warriors, who have 2 guys who have had 50-point games this year. There's been 4 50-point games this year. They have 50% of them.
They suck, honestly. But looking like last seed.
I mean, honestly, dude, if you just just play defense, you're fine.
Yeah,
50 points. I can score that in my rec league any day of the week.
Exactly.
Back when I played church league,
nothing.
Old Gary couldn't guard me. I dropped 60 on his old butt.
That's 2 players on 1 team. They have half. That's crazy.
It's disgusting. It's really disgusting.
It looks like they're going to be the team to beat again. Well,
duh.
Like every year.
Every year they're the team to beat.
But, yeah.
Until Kevin Durant decides to sign with the Knicks with Kyrie Irving, which is definitely going to happen, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, moving on.
Snake.
You won't get any disagreement from me. Moving on. Now we'll be discussing what's the most important thing to me at this university. Cougar basketball. Man, let me tell you, Cody. Listen ears, because I know you like Cougar basketball, but this is where I shine. What's up? Yeah. I'm so excited. Oh, man, Mike! I'm so excited my mic stand's falling off.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Poking at. 1 second. Say something. My mic's messed up.
I missed the first game because I had a test to study for.
Boo.
And yeah, I really wish I could have gone, but at the same time, I feel like it would have been kind of boring.
Dallas University.
It would have been kind of boring. A 30-point win.
Oh, dude.
U of H only gave up like 15 or 16 points in the second half.
It was crazy, man.
It
was crazy.
If I remember correctly, but I didn't watch the game, so I really don't know.
Nobody looked bad. That's what was nice. Nobody looked like they went through a lull, an off-season lull, or like a new guy came in and he just wasn't producing. No, everybody looked good. Corey Davis had 9 3-pointers.
9.
That's 27 points behind the arc. That's crazy. Landon Gosling, I think, came in, a transfer student from St. Edward's, a Division II school. He's a senior for us. He came in and he had, I can't remember how many threes, but he had like 3 or 4 3-pointers. Mari Brooks looked good. I mean, as already said, Corey Davis looked good. I mean, nobody looked bad. We looked solid on the defensive end, which again, you're playing a team you're supposed to beat. It's an expedition. You're trying to get everybody excited about basketball, even though, of course, nobody came to that game because Coug fans are the best fans, especially when it comes to basketball. But they looked great. There was not a weak link. It was something that really brought excitement back to basketball.
Do you think they did better?
Carrying on from last
Do you
year.
think they look better than last year's team?
I'll say this: we don't have the star we had last year, at least not yet. We don't have Rob Gray, man bud God. But I think Corey Davis can reach that type of level if he needs to, but I don't think he'll need to, because this team is way more solid. It's deeper than it is last year. Guys that we had last year that couldn't play are now available to play. Guys that we had that were new here and they were kind of brought in to develop are now developed. And also a big move that we got is we went into AAC's backyard and got Nate Hiddleston, I think. Nate Hilton. It's up here. I've been following him. I can't remember his last name, but he's a big catch for the Cougs. He's probably the biggest recruit they've had in Kelvin Sampson's tenure here. And also Dejan Jariu, who's a transfer from UMass. Him and one of his friends, I think they went to the same high school. They also went to UMass together. They've both came over to U of H, and he is a huge pickup for the Cougs as well. He was a guard / shooting guard / small forward. He can really play any position in college basketball. Even if you want to run, a 5-man game, you can put him at the 4. He's a threat. He can shoot. He can drive. He can pass. It looks a lot better. Amari Brooks is coming back. He's gonna probably be he'll probably be in the starting lineup most of the season, depending on who we play. Sampson likes to change the roster. There'd be a different roster every week last year, and that's just because he plays to the opponent, and he doesn't like to give players too big a head. He keeps everybody on the same level. Nate Hinton, my bad, that's his name. A shooting guard who is, in high school he was electric. He was getting offers from, top schools. I think Kansas offered him a scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah, and he chose us. That's because Sampson got in there, day one. Sampson was in there when the guy was like a freshman.
In Sampson we trust.
In Sampson we trust, dude. He is the Moody of Cougar basketball. There's no doubt. There actually is no doubt about that. He is great. I would say he's done more for Cougar basketball than Maury's done for Rockets basketball. Blasphemy, I know, but I think it's really true. I'm excited, man. I'm looking. My prediction. A lot of people have us in our conference finishing 3rd, 4th, 5th, which is disgusting to me, especially because the Cougs deserve more respect after last year. They only lost that conference game on a fluke. That was looking in the bag if that pass had been completed. But
it hurts.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that bad because we got our first win in conference play since 83
true.
or 89 or whatever it was.
90s, I think.
No, dude, it was the 80s.
When was Phi Slamma Jam or whatever it was?
It was late 80s.
I thought it was early 90s. I could be wrong.
Elijah Wan, dog.
I could be wrong. Anyways.
Because Elijah Wan got his 2 titles in
94. Yeah.
94 and 95.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah, and that was when another former Rocket or former Coug joined him, Clyde the Glide Drexler from Portland. That's one of my favorite times. I wasn't even alive back then. That was one of my favorite times for basketball. So we got Sampson. He's not really a big fan of getting freshmen. He really likes getting transfers. I think that's just because transfers are a lot easier to recruit to your university because they're not as attractive to big schools because the big schools get those top freshmen. So for Sampson to go get a freshman at all, who is I think he was put at like a high 3-star, which is huge in basketball. So for him to come here is really important for the program, and I'm excited to see him play in light of the scoreboard, especially Cedric. What's his name? A player from last year. He was redshirted last year, but in every warm-up he'd always have his neck above the rim dunking the basketball. Let me get the roster up real quick. Cedric Allen. I want to say his name's Cedric Allen.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay, we'll say that for now.
Just say Cedric.
Yeah, I'll just say Ced. He is electric. He's a high-flying player. He was healthy last year, but I think they just he wouldn't have been able to play for half the season because he wouldn't know the playbook. And Sampson is sticks to his plays, man. Not really a lot of freestyling out there unless Rob Gray had the ball. So, but this year he's back in full force, getting his first chance to really show what he's got. And it's just, I mean, there doesn't look to be a hole on this team right now. In Sampson's words, we're not looking to make it to the tournament. We're looking to win the tournament. I think that's a legitimate shot. Last year's team had a shot of winning the tournament, maybe a fringe. They probably would have got all the way there and then got smacked. But I mean, everybody knows they barely lost to Michigan off that last second shot. Then Michigan pretty much steamrolled into the finals until they got whacked. I think U of H would have beat everybody that Michigan beat, no problem. I think they only lost that game. They were the better team against in that Michigan game. They just had an unfortunate
missed free throws is what lost the game.
Even though that guy in that game, that was his best game shooting free throws ever, like by a long shot. He was like shooting like 30-40% better than he ever had the whole season, but he missed those two, and that killed us.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm thinking. Let me get to predictions. I kind of got away from that, talking about getting real excited about all the players coming in. But prediction-wise, sleeping on Cincinnati is never a good idea. I see them as number 1, but I think that puts us as a good spot. And I think we're securely number 2. A lot of the experts, air quotes, experts, have UCF as number 1 because they've got some big recruits and Taco Jones, I think is his name.
Taco Jones.
7'6" basketball players back and all this other garbage. I don't buy the hype. I think they're putting too much credit into the fact that UCF is right now all potential. They haven't done anything with these guys yet. They're just saying based on potential these guys are the best. Whereas I think U of H's players are more battle-worn, tested. Cincinnati's players are more battle-worn, tested. Even Wichita. I know Wichita lost a lot of seniors. But they're just a smart basketball team. It's a basketball town, They ain't got no football team. I really see them always being competitive. And even UConn. They had a bad year last year, but everybody they played really well. They had a lot of injuries. So those guys will probably be back. But UConn is always a threat. They were our closest home game last year, and they were, almost like dead last in conference. So, you're not no matter who you play in this conference, you're not dealing with scrubs unless you're playing USF. But even then, they'll beat you every once in a while.
Yeah, I think the experts don't necessarily see like the talent that U of H has now. They see the talent they lost.
They see Rob Gray going away.
Yeah, that's exactly. Sure, Rob Gray was like the focal point of the offense.
Yeah,
he was the
19
clear
points a game last year.
Clear best offensive player on the team, but he wasn't the entire team. Like the team didn't necessarily revolve around him. Sure, he was.
The team did. My thing is that if there would be a fall off if we had a bad coach, but we do not have a bad coach. We had a coach that is extremely good at what he does. He brought U of H basketball back to relevancy. It was bad before he got here. I wouldn't be surprised if they thought about cutting the team before he got here. But he's made it back up to, Phi Slamma Jamma days. At least it's getting more visual, it's getting more representation in the media. But the biggest thing is that he knows how to make adjustments. As I said earlier, his starting lineup was never solid. Anybody could be in and out of there, no matter what. So the idea that we lose our, almost 20 points a game score and we're gonna drop off tremendously, I don't buy.
I don't buy that either.
I think he knows how to fix things. He knows how to get the team more touches. And everybody's improved. That's another thing. Players are less specialized. They're better all around basketball players. Especially with Amari Brooks. That's a big one. Last year, towards the end of the season, we started seeing him drive and create outside shots for players, especially because at the beginning of the year, all he was a three-point threat. So that's really going to help this team out, especially with the leadership of Sampson. Where do you have UH finishing in conference? I have him at second.
I would say, like you said, to never sleep on Cincy. But I think this year they have the talent to win the conference. So I honestly have them putting up like 1 or 2.
Oh yeah.
And then Cincy 1 or 2, the Wichita 1, 2, or 3. Like those 3 teams could be 1, 2, and 3 easily.
Yeah.
I
I do think U of H definitely has a shot at number 1, but I mean Cincinnati is Cincy.
Yeah, and then
So-
Wichita is Wichita too. So
My big thing is for Wichita is that they were senior heavy last year. Their 3 best players were seniors. That one guy ended up in the draft. Can't remember his name. But I think he got drafted like late first round. So obviously a key player. He was one of the big reasons they beat us when we were at their place, and he was one of the big reasons that Wichita stayed in the game when we beat them in the conference tournament. So, I mean this conference is hard, especially when it comes to basketball. It's got really good teams at the top, and then it drops off, those last 2 spots. But even then, they'll sneak up and beat somebody every once in a while. SMU is a good basketball team. UConn's a good basketball team. USF is going to be good this year. That's what everybody's telling me. U of H, Cincinnati, as we mentioned, Wichita. I mean, the only team that's really bummy is ECU, and ECU's bad.
really bad.
And USF, but even USF will occasionally surprise everybody and pull one out against Wichita. And Tulane, didn't Tulane beat Wichita last year?
I think so. Tulane.
I don't know if it was Wichita, but Tulane beat somebody last year, and they beat us when we went over there to their place. They beat us, so I'm excited to see this. I mean, this conference is exciting. Oh, I forgot to mention this to you, Cody. This is big doings. Guess who scored Skybox tickets for the rest of the games at TSU?
Who? You did?
Oh yeah, dude. Some people that know my dad. Apparently, for whatever reason, I'll let you guys and you decide what that reason would be. Aren't comfortable going over to TSU for the games.
Aren't comfortable.
Yeah, take those words as you will. No name.
Were those the
dropping.
exact words they used? Or the very similar?
Those were the texts that were in my dad's phone. They're
Wow.
uncomfortable going to TSU, but because of that, you know what? Hey, that's their loss.
Tickets are
My
tickets,
gain,
man.
yeah. We're getting tickets. It's only to the TSU, but we're getting the Skybox seats. So
where are those at?
When you walk in
Mm-hmm.
and above are those seats up there.
Oh, really?
It's those seats. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So this Saturday, when they're playing, I don't know, some Alabama school. I don't know who they are, but
this Saturday. They play the basketball games this Saturday.
yeah, it's the basketball game and then the football game later on that
All right,
night.
cool.
Whenever they're playing them, we'll be up in the high life, baby, with all the rich peoples, the highfaluters.
Hell yeah. All 10 of them.
That's being nice.
That's being generous.
We'll be up in the booth and we'll be half the crowd for the entire stadium. But yeah, so we'll be going there, and that'll be fun to experience that, because I can't wait to get my hands on a TSU funnel cake. Oh,
Don't sleep on those funnel cakes.
don't, dude. TSU's food. U of H is notoriously bad with their concessions, and basketball, it's bad. Like, football is bad, but basketball took it to another level. But last year we went to TSU and we used their providers, just some local mom and pop places, and it was
Fantastic.
awesome. The snow cones, you ever get those?
Oh,
Dude,
good.
They were like they put cream in them.
Ooh.
Oh, dude, they were
Ooh.
great. Oh, the funnel cakes.
Fantastic. Did you try they had like a chocolate one. Like they poured like
Yeah.
chocolate sauce on it.
Did jambalaya, dude.
Fantastic. The jambalaya was good too.
Everything was good.
A little pricey, but
Worth it. It's better than spending $10 on a piece of pizza here.
that is true.
And that piece of pizza tasting like cardboard.
They had some good cardboard though.
Man, I wish Fertitta would be allowed to sell food in the stadium. I know he can't, because then that seems like a business move, and like if you're on the board and you make the stadium's already named after him, so then if he puts his vendors in it, that's
I don't see why you wouldn't be
shady.
able to. He owns the stadium. It's his stadium.
he made the donation. College is different.
I guess so.
College is different.
I guess so.
It would be nice to have some papacitos.
But I'd
stadium.
imagine if he asked the president if he could sell
sure.
vendors, I'm 120% sure she would allow
No,
it.
here's my thing. I'm sure he tried. And she wanted to say yes, but she couldn't. Because then the government comes in and shuts it down hard. Because everybody knows if U of H is making money, then Texas and A&M are losing money.
That is true. Can't have that.
Can't
have
let
that.
happen. But no, I also it's deeper than that. I don't know all the logistics, but I know it's it's kind of like, like when somebody becomes a president or something, and they elect their nephew to be like the controller of the budget.
Yeah,
and that guy has no idea
nepotism
what
or
he's
whatever
doing.
it's called.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the idea. Like, oh, the guy donated all the money to the stadium. That's great. Now let's get him all his money back by letting him be the vendor. It would have been nice. I'm telling you, dude, eating a brisket baked potato in the stands
Oh my god.
would be next level.
Fantastic.
Next level. Fajitas. Half pound of fajitas in the stands, man. I'm living. But most likely we'll still be having $6 cardboard pretzels and flat Coke.
I'll love every second of it.
Oh, it's going to be gross. The only reason to go will be the basketball team.
Yeah,
the food ain't worth
exactly.
it. I'm excited about seeing the student section, too, in the new stadium. When that opens
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
it looks like standing room only, and it looks like it's on the court, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
right on the sideline, I believe,
Mhm.
which is great.
I'll have to see how it's all situated. They have like a hollow ring. Like you can see the score from like anywhere in the gym. That's really cool.
It's basically the same as it was before, like the structure.
Have you been inside of it yet?
I've seen like pictures of
The only thing they
inside.
kept was the shell. That that big air shell.
But the seats, how they look, are very similar to how they were in Hofheinz. That's what I mean by that.
It's more vertical.
Okay.
The ring is still there, but we were lucky enough to go inside because they've had a few viewings. We went in
Mhm.
when it was still kind of a little bit deeper in construction. I think it was at the beginning of the football season.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But man, it was nice. They have some nice HD screens. It's definitely smaller. They cut down on seating a lot, which is what they needed to do. If they want that place to feel packed, they needed to get rid of the seating that was there for that was there for Phi Slamma Jamma and those guys. Because while we're good and they deserve those types of crowds, Houston isn't going to give it to them.
At least not yet.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
The football team's been doing great for a long time, and they still don't get the credit they deserve. So the basketball team, I imagine, will take much longer. But, yeah, the stand's going to feel more packed. It's going to feel more like the stands are on top of the game, creating more of a better home environment, So I'm ready to see it. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I
I'm
am
excited.
excited. Especially because for the first 3 or 4 games, I'll be living the high life
The press box.
at TSU.
It's
It's kind of like a poor man's palace, man.
exactly.
Press box.
Hell yeah.
TSU. I'm excited though. I am
Yeah.
excited. Cougs are looking bright, and it looks like the only people in their way are themselves. At least until the tournament. We'll talk about that as
Exactly.
the season goes on. We'll definitely keep up to date as that. Anything else you want to nail on before we end this podcast?
No,
Cody?
I think that's it.
Yeah, man. I think that's about it too.
Mhm.
Thanks for joining us. Please like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications, all that fun stuff. YouTube really, really likes to sit the little man down in his place, and we'd like your help making sure we get our chance at life. Follow us on Twitter at Moody Sports. Follow my Twitter at nose_God. Cody, what's yours? You got letters and numbers and all that stuff?
I'm not gonna say my Twitter yet.
He's scared some of you cute girls will follow him home.
Exactly.
That's what he's worried
Exactly.
about. Yeah, so thanks for following us. We should have this up as of today, Tuesday, November 5th, I believe.
6th.
6th. I have a project due in 12 days, so I better get hopping on that. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Later.
Adios.